This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we're very fortunate tonight to have as our guest the popular mayor of Montgomery, young Stephen Reed. I call him young because I'm getting old. He's not but 48 years old, and he's been around politics all of his life. His daddy, Joe Reed, is a legend, a powerful legend in the state, and he grew up in politics, and now he is the popular mayor of Montgomery in the middle of his first term. And most of our viewers are in the river region in Montgomery and know and like Stephen Reed, and we're glad to have him take time out of his schedule to be with us to talk about politics. Stephen, good to have you on the show.
Mr. Flowers, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yeah, your dad and I go back a long time.
I bet.
We're talking about, I served with Alvin Holmes and Thad McClammy. I was in the House from 1982 to 1998
Okay.
from Pike County.
Yes, sir.
And matter of fact, my first term, I had to get another part of the county. I got Barber County, which was, Barry Ford has that area now in the House. But I served 16 years in the House from Pike County. And Alvin and I were close friends. He'd come over and talk politics with me all the time. He and your daddy were close.
They were. We went back to Alabama State University, their friendship. So
were they in school together?
They were. They served on the SGA together as well.
Yes, they went way back.
They really did.
Your daddy was really from Conecuh County originally.
Yes, sir.
Around Evergreen.
That's right.
Did he grow up out in the country or Evergreen?
He grew up in the country in an area called China. So that's out there.
So he came from Conecuh County to Alabama State.
That's correct.
But he was an educator by profession, wasn't he?
Yes. And then taught for less than a school year before he was elected to be the executive director or the associate secretary for the Alabama State Teachers Association, which is that time was the Black Teachers Association. That was in, don't quote me now.
In the early 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Early 60s.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story about that. They merged with Dr. Hubbard.
That's
and he
correct.
and Dr. Hubbard became a team.
Yes.
Boy, they were a powerful team.
They did a lot of good things, I think, for public education.
They
for
doggone
teachers
sure did. Dr.
A lot of support staff. Yes, sir.
Dr. Hubbard and Dr. Reed did a lot for education, and I don't know if teachers really appreciate the power and what Dr. Joe Reed and Dr. Paul Hubbard did. They merged. They must have merged in the early 70s. I think because Hubbard and Reed orchestrated that, didn't they?
Yes, it was one of those things where you had different organizations and different teachers associations across the South that were merging. Some decided to do that, some didn't, and they probably pulled off the most successful one, not only in the South but in the country.
They did, actually Dr. Hubbard, that shows you how far I go back. Dr. Hubbard was a brilliant man, came out of Hubbardville in Fayette County.
That's right.
In west Alabama, and he was really being watched. They were almost grooming him to be president of the University of Alabama. He had an earned doctorate at a young age, and so he came to Troy, Alabama, and was superintendent of the Troy City Schools for 1 year. And I was a senior in high school that year.
Wow.
So we became friends when I was a senior in high school. And then he comes up here and is head of the AEA. He really did not want that job. They came after him.
Wow.
There were 39 applicants for head of the AEA. And they came to him and asked him to take it. He left Troy. He was superintendent before he was 30 years old.
Wow.
In Troy, Alabama.
That's amazing.
And Troy's a pretty good school system.
Yes, sir.
And so anyway, he and Dr. Reed teamed up together, and they were unbeatable politically. They supported me over the years, both of them. But
they were with you. They were with you. They wouldn't leave you either,
no,
right?
They would not.
I think I heard them say a number of times, you don't leave an old friend for a new one.
That's exactly right. That was an old adage, and your word is your bond.
That's right.
Did you see that column I wrote about old Bill Baxley?
I did. Made me laugh a little bit.
Did your daddy see it?
I don't know if he saw it. Knowing him, he reads a lot more of than I do these days. And then people
Baxter loved it. He just called me 4 times.
Did he really?
He said, he loves to call me Tree. He said, Tree, that's the best thing I've ever seen. But he and your daddy were real close.
Oh,
friends.
absolutely. From his time as Attorney General, I know all the way on up.
They sure were. So you read the one on Baxley?
Yes, sir.
He was a true progressive.
He was before his time.
He really was, and never backed away from it.
No.
He never backed away from it.
No, and
But anyway, you grew up in this stuff.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever think you were gonna get it yourself, Stephen?
No, I did not.
You didn't, did you?
No.
When you went off to Morehouse, you were in business one day.
I was in business and went to work for American Airlines in my first job out of undergrad in their management training program, and went on to get my MBA. And I thought I'd do management consulting. Oh, well, maybe if I went out on my own, I thought I'd do real estate development. But really, I wanted to do management consulting when I was at business school at Vanderbilt after I had done a few years at American Airlines. So, no, I didn't think I would be running. I didn't think I'd be back here, to be honest with you.
Stephen, now you grew up. What church did y'all go? Do you go to the same church that Kirkhatcher goes to?
No, we went to our First Congregational Church, which is part of the UCC, which helped found, which is a descendant of the American Missionary Association, which helped found Alabama State, which was Lincoln Normal School at the time in Marion, and then before it moved here to be Alabama State Teachers College.
Where does Senator Hatcher go to church?
He grew up going to Pilgrim Rest.
That's what I thought, yeah. Do you
Missionary
know,
Baptist Church.
You know, I've said this over the years, and it's true, that Montgomery is really an overgrown small town.
Yes, sir.
And I said early on, I said, Stephen Reed's going to win that mayor's race, and it ain't because he's the best politician, going to raise most money, and he knows what he's doing, be the best one, but he's got roots here. Mm-hmm. You know, you think about that, Stephen. You grew up, and all those people in your church watched you, and I kept hearing that.
Yes.
You know, it means something for somebody to know somebody's parents.
Oh, absolutely.
And know their roots and that sort of thing.
Yes.
I mean, y'all, you know people.
Yes.
It ain't like just they see you on television. They say, well, I remember when Steve was in the 2nd grade.
That's right.
You know, things like that was in my Sunday school class.
Absolutely.
You know, he was a good little boy.
That's right.
You know, in my Sunday school class. I mean, so they know you.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't like that you're a TV person.
Well, no, that familiarity plays a big role in it, but it gives a role into how comfortable they feel about what you say you're going to do and the type of character that you have. And whether you're in politics or anything else, you know, that familiarity and the sense of knowing that person plays a big role. It makes a big difference.
Well, Stephen, it also has a lot to do with being able to govern better.
Well, it does.
I mean, because you know all parts of this city.
That's right.
I mean, you grew up riding by and saying, well, there was a pothole there when I was a little boy.
That's right.
You know, there's things you know about people.
Yeah, and you know, but you know a lot about the issues that people are having before you get in, because once you get in, sometimes it's filtered, the commentary that you get. Sometimes the feedback isn't filtered, which can be good or bad, depending on how you look at it. But you know what some of the challenges are in the community, and we know how to address them. So when we're going after jobs and economic development, or whether or not we're trying to make sure that our city and our streets are safer, we know, you know, what the best approach should be, and it's just a matter of trying to implement that throughout the various departments within the city.
Stephen, now you went to, where would you go to elementary and junior high? You went to Jeff Davis High School, didn't you?
I did. I went to Cloverdale Junior High, and then Vaughn Road and Forest Avenue for elementary school.
And then you finished Jeff Davis, went straight to Morehouse.
That's right.
Now, don't you have an older or younger brother?
Older brother, older sister.
They went to, your older brother went to Morehouse too, didn't he?
He did. Sure did.
So
sister
you followed him to Morehouse.
I did. He was a few years ahead of me. So that was a great opportunity, and he followed Kirkhatcher there. So it was kind of one of those things where we had a pipeline going to Morehouse and going up I-85 and learning a lot about the experience of Dr. King's alma mater and learning about Maynard Jackson and so many others, Lerone Bennett. We could go down the list. And then I think just learning more about the philosophy of Dr. Benjamin E. Mays. You know, Judge Griffin went to Morehouse as well, preceded us. So we had a good pipeline going at that time, along with some others that were from here. I could go down the list. I'm thinking of all the names now. So Fred Gray Jr. as well. So we had a good list from this area that went there, and I think that's informed us not only about public service, but also about leadership and how to impact the community and how to be better servant leaders. And that's important in any position that you're in, but certainly when you're in an elected position.
Well, Morehouse certainly has, with all of your generation coming back home to lead your cities and everything, then it's really this Montgomery political hierarchy really has a Morehouse connection with you, Senator Kirkhatcher, J.C. Love, the probate judge, Greg Griffin, your circuit judge.
That's right.
All of y'all are Morehouse people. And then you go on to Birmingham, Randall Woodford
Yes, sir.
is Morehouse. And I remember going to both of y'all's parties, and y'all had Morehouse men there who had come in both you and Randall Woodford's victory parties. Those guys had left their law practices or medical practices,
yes, sir.
and they'd come over here and campaign for both of
Absolutely.
y'all. It's a Morehouse connection, almost like a fraternal thing.
I would agree. I would describe it as a brotherhood.
It really is. And y'all have taken over, Morehouse has taken over the state of Alabama.
Well, we're trying to look at taking on a few more cities across the country, too. So
Well,
watch
one
out.
of the guys there, it's your thing, or Randall Woodford's thing, was the mayor of some city in Arkansas. I forget now, it's a pretty good sized city, but it was a good thing. Well, I didn't mean to get off on that. Now, you've got how many children?
Got 3, girl and 2 boys.
Are they still in school?
No, well, 2 of them are. Kyla graduated Howard University, and she works for Congresswoman Joyce Beatty in D.C., who's out of represents the Columbus, Ohio area. And our 2 sons are both in school at the public schools here.
Are they named after you or anything?
No, one is named after my father.
His name's Joe.
That's right. That's
The
the
full
oldest one.
name, what's your dad's full name?
Well, his name is Joe Lewis, so he has a different. His full name is Joe Klein, and youngest son is Karsten.
Does he go by Joe?
He goes by Klein.
Klein.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's your second one go by?
Karsten.
Carson, C-A-R-S-T-O-N.
K, both with K's.
I bet all.
Yeah.
Klein and Carson.
Yeah, they keep us busy, in particular in the summer when school is out.
Ball games.
Listen, we're trying to fill up the calendar right now, so to keep them busy, then they keep us. But it's a good time, and they keep us on our toes, whether they're showing us TikTok videos or making sure that we're watching something on YouTube, which we have no idea about. They make it fun when you get home, and they don't care about all the things that have been happening at city council meeting or what's happened down at City Hall. They just want to make sure they're giving you their opinion about whatever matters to them, and usually it's not about what matters in the city itself.
No. Now, they spend time with your daddy?
Oh, they spend a lot of time with him.
How far do you live from him?
Well, we live very close. We're practically neighbors. So
That's good.
Yes.
You know, Dr. Hubbard had that same thing.
Really?
Where he lived out there, I can't remember the street's name.
We lived out in Beauvoir, sure did.
Yeah, his
Nice
daughter,
neighborhood.
who's a chiropractor, named Zen or something,
Uh-huh.
she lived right across the street. So he and Ann got to see those grandchildren every day.
Yep.
They were across the street, so you got the same thing with your mom and daddy.
Yeah, and you know, we go to the same church, so they even they don't see them during the week if the schedules are busy. They'll see him at church as well, and they all enjoy it. They hear a lot of old stories, and you know, it's good for them to have that opportunity. And my mother and father-in-law live out in West Texas, so they do a lot of FaceTime with them. So it's good to have both sets of grandparents there to kind of help you, and I think that kind of keeps them on their toes when we may not be around as much as we like.
Stephen, was it 2 years ago you were elected mayor? How many years ago?
Almost 2 years and 10 months.
So you run again when?
We run next August.
August of 23.
That's correct.
Now, have they changed the mayor? They synchronized the mayor's races, but not the big cities.
That's correct.
Y'all still are doing different
Yes.
things. They changed a lot of the mayors for smaller cities around the states, so they're all synchronized.
That's right.
But Montgomery and Birmingham and Mobile are still unique, aren't
That's
they?
correct. Yes.
Does one of them run the same year you do?
I don't think anyone wants, because I know Mayor Woodfin just was reelected, and Mayor Stimson was down in Mobile, and I don't think Tommy is up in Huntsville next year that I know of.
I think he's got a while. But y'all didn't change.
No, Montgomery has not.
So, but now, are your city council members elected the same time you are?
They are.
How many
yes.
y'all? How many city council members you got?
9 city council members.
And they're all elected at the same time.
We all run the same municipal election. That's right.
Well, that's good though.
Yes.
Because it gets the turnout up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and we still got work to do to get voters more engaged in local elections, but it's good to have them at the same time.
Do you, tell me, now I got off on all this family stuff and political stuff. Tell me what's going on with the city. What are you working most of the time on? What do you see the biggest problems, and what are some of the projects you're proudest of working on so far?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge for us is to make sure that this is a safe city, and people say what keeps you up at night is it's certainly public safety. It's making sure that we're doing everything we can to be proactive to reduce crime, which we have done year over year to the tune of about 19.8%. So you round up to 20%, and we've seen homicides drop year over year by over 30%. So we're proud of that. And, we all like for those things to be at zero, but we realize in this community, there are some challenges. But we brought in a best-in-class police chief who was a 30-year law enforcement professional, captain down in New Orleans Police Department, who's come in with some great ideas and some ways that we can collaborate with our partners at the state and federal level. And it's already showing some ROI, if you will. It's already proving some dividends for what we have done. And that's by far the biggest issue for us, is to make sure this city is safe. And what's interesting is nowadays, you get so much news media to your phones and to your smartphones and social media that's from around the country, and everybody hears all the negative stuff, and not always happening right here in the city. If you don't check that feed, you don't know if you're looking at a story somewhere in Ohio or another part of Tennessee or someplace like that. And we have enough challenges right here in our own backyard. But we're trying to make sure that we get out the word of not only the things that we're doing to reduce crime and to make sure that the bad people are uncomfortable, but also to make sure that they know some of the good news that's happening. We got a lot of good news. We had $1 billion worth of investment in the last 12 months. We're down to be a finalist of some major projects here in the next quarter that I think we'll land 1 out of those 4. We'd love to land 2 out of them. But, those are things that bring high-paying jobs, that bring tremendous amount of tax revenues to the city and the county and the state. And that economic development footprint is what we're working on. We've got great entrepreneurial endeavors that are bringing in tech workers and entrepreneurs to help us partner with the Maxwell Air Force Base and Gunner Air Force Base, or Maxwell Gunner, I should say. And those are things that we want to continue to do to attract and retain talent. And when you look at Central Alabama, we don't have NASA kind of as the anchor like Huntsville and Madison County and Limestone County and those areas do. We don't have the UAB Hospital and Regions Bank and Alabama Power, those corporate headquarters to anchor us like Birmingham does. We got state government, but we have to kind of diversify from that into the healthcare space. We have to diversify from that with our military presence. And then we have to make sure that we're using our universities as foundations for knowledge, research, jobs, and economic growth. And we can do that by better synchronizing some of the things that we're trying to do both at the local, state, and federal level. And we're excited about it. And we've gotten great cooperation from Governor Ivey's administration. Some of the larger industrial projects that we've gone after. We just landed the inland port with the help of U.S. Senator Richard Shelby. That's going to bring well over 2,500 jobs to Montgomery, and we believe that will help make us a freight and cargo logistics hub by virtue of our location here. So we're expanding and trying to be aggressive around our airport and around our rail. So when you consider those things that are happening at the economic level, there's a lot of good news to share. There's a lot of positive momentum that's happening in this city and in this community. And we look forward to continuing that growth and continuing that progress with the help of Hyundai, who's made a multi-million-dollar announcement around electric vehicles and other initiatives that we have in store. And that's not to mention the recreational projects we have around the Whitewater project that the county is leading for us right there in Maxwell Boulevard as you cross the Alabama River. That will bring in hundreds of thousands of tourists. That will have a direct impact on our tourism and our lodging tax revenue, which funds our city, which will allow us to invest more into the core infrastructure here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight, the impact of the American Rescue Plan Act on our city, on our community, the bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act that was passed under the Biden administration. All of these things are providing much needed dollars to local governments that we otherwise would not have, wouldn't even have them at the state level. And that's federal dollars that are coming down for us to put on the ground to help people, to help small businesses, and to make sure that we're helping those black businesses and minority-owned businesses that have not got an opportunity to grow and scale in a way that will overall help our economy grow. So we've gotten great partnerships with the Biden-Harris administration, and we've been able to kind of navigate both the federal landscape and the state landscape of politics, as well as corporate and philanthropic partners, to make sure that we're moving this city and this region forward. And that's what we've got to have to happen so that we will grow and we will thrive in Central Alabama the way we see other parts of the state doing.
Stephen, you mentioned this, and I'm always remiss in thinking about this. Montgomery has become a tourist attraction, has it not?
It has.
Do y'all spend a lot of city money, or the state does a lot of tourism budgeting? You get a lot of revenue from tourism, don't you?
Oh, we get a tremendous amount in our lodging tax revenue, and it's largely due to the history of the civil rights movement. Right. And most of that comes as a byproduct of people who have learned about the Equal Justice Initiative and the work that Brian Stevenson has been doing for 30 years here. And
Does he come here often?
Well, he lives here.
He lives here.
He lives right here.
I didn't realize that.
Sure does. He is here, and it's good to have a global citizen right in your backyard because they bring a lot of resources.
Does he go down to the place every day, just about?
Oh, he's down in the law office when he's in town. He's down there at their headquarters, and the good thing about them is they bring young, talented professionals to the city. They bring a lot of national, international tourists here who are learning about the story of race and reconciliation in the United States. And, it's a very tough topic to discuss, but it's one that we have to discuss when we consider the pain and progress of Montgomery and of Alabama and of the United States. And so whether people are touring the Legacy Museum or if they're touring the Memorial for Peace and Justice, those are things that are conversation starters, and those are things that you can't duplicate even in Washington, D.C. or in Atlanta, Georgia. Those are things that are unique to Montgomery and to this region, and we have been really blessed to have that be here because it has transformed tourism not only in this city, but throughout this region and this state.
Stephen, speaking of that, where we're sitting now, we filmed this show in the Rosa Parks building in downtown Montgomery. This is a tourist attraction.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, where we're sitting right now,
Yes.
this museum building.
Well, I think that when you consider what story we're telling and where we are right now in the nation's history, it's even more relevant. We're at a very tumultuous time in the history around elections, around progress that's been made over the last 50, 60 years, and people are concerned about that. And so there's a desire to learn more about the history around the civil rights movement, around the nonviolent protest movement, the movement around voting rights, and how does that really fit in with where a lot of the country sees things right now. So it makes it even more relevant, and I think it just shows people the arc of progress, but also the arc of obstacles that have been there throughout this nation's history.
Well, there's a lot of history here, but also tell me more about this inland port thing that Senator Shelby helped y'all with. He has been such an asset to our state. We're really going to miss him, but that sounds like a pretty big thing. That cost $2.5 million?
Absolutely.
What is that all about?
Well, they used to call this basketball player Karl Malone, I think he's the second leading scorer in the NBA. Played for the Utah Jazz for about 18 years. They used to call him the mailman because he always delivered. Well, that's what we should be calling Senator Shelby, the mailman.
Exactly.
Because he always delivered for Alabama. And you know him much better than I do, but I've gotten a chance to meet with him so many times, even before I became mayor, that I feel like I know him, and he's been someone that's been omnipresent, you know, in politics, you know, really throughout my entire life. And so to not have him on Capitol Hill is going to leave a gaping hole that we won't fill anytime soon, if ever. And it's something that, you know, you talk about, do people appreciate what politicians and elected officials do? I don't think that the citizens of Alabama quite know the impact that he has had. But the inland port, if I can kind of sum it up, will be a freight and logistics hub that we will have right off of Highway 31 in southwest Montgomery County. It'll be part of the city, but it will create 2,500 jobs, excuse me. And
that's a lot of jobs.
Oh, it's a lot of jobs. And when you consider the average wage, I mean, it's going to have a tremendous economic impact. And what it will do is it will allow freight from the Port of Mobile, coming from the Gulf of Mexico, to come up the rail lines to right here to Montgomery to be shipped or sent via truck or plane to other locations. So it will allow Montgomery to really be in position to become that freight and logistics hub that I think we can be. And I believe that we'll see the jobs on the inland port spill over into other economic development projects because of what it'll mean for distribution. And when you look at the way people order things online, and your family and mine, whether it's Amazon, DHL, FedEx, and many of us got used to doing a lot of that during the pandemic, that's something that people now have grown accustomed to. And so it's having a detrimental impact on retail, but for shipping and distribution, it's made it even more important. So for us to be able to get that facility here, something so large that ultimately we think will transform our economic footprint in not only Montgomery, but all of Central Alabama.
That's fantastic.
And without Senator Shelby, we wouldn't have gotten it.
Well, the whole state's going to miss him.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, our time's up. I appreciate you taking time to be with us. I hate it's gone by so quick, but I enjoy visiting with you. And we appreciate what you're doing as Mayor of Montgomery. Everybody in the state is looking at Montgomery as being a progressive, great city, and we appreciate the job you're doing. Well,
listen, thank you so much. It's always good to come on with you, and anytime we can come on and talk about family, friends, and politics, that's a good opportunity for us, so we appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Folks, our guest tonight's been Mayor Stephen Reed of Montgomery. We thank you folks for watching. Hope you tune in again next week for Alabama Politics. Thank you so much.